So it turns out I'm a gambling man. What I mean by that is that sometimes I see a movie, I've never heard about it, or doesn't have anybody I know in it, and I risk my precious and short time I have to watch it hoping it's good. And most of the time, I'm wrong. I waste my time and I deeply regret it. But sometimes I find these hidden gems, and I'm so happy that I find these hidden gems, I think it makes it worth it. And I ran across a movie called Totally Killer. So it stars Kiernan Shipka. I think I'm saying that right. Olivia Holt. So, anyways, I started watching this, and it's about a girl named Jamie, played by Shipka, whose her parents had their three friends killed by the Sweet 16 killer 35 years ago when they were in high school in 1987. So it starts off pretty brisk. She wakes up, she's whatever, and then she goes to a concert, and her parents are all like, and right off the bat, you can tell that they teenified it. By that, I just mean that this was obviously made with teens in mind. It's not a bad thing, but it's something to consider if you want to watch it. I do recommend watching it. And this video is going to have tons of spoilers, by the way. She goes to the concert, and Jamie's mom is killed by the newly returned Sweet 16 killer. But she actually puts up a fight. Like, almost all the time. When the killer is killing somebody, almost always there's some sort of fight. Like, it's a struggle. Like, he's not just this invincible killer. Halloween kills. And he's actually like just a dude in a mask killing people. And anyways, Jamie then mourns her mom's death, obviously, and there's this weird crying scene that I swear the director or the editor just did her wrong. Like, there's other scenes in this movie where she's either close to tears or she's on, she's crying, and she does a whole good job the whole movie. She's a good actress. But this one scene, it just looked ridiculous. Like, they needed to redo that again. Like, just do another attempt. Just, why is that in there? I don't know. Anyways, a couple days later, she's getting stalked by the killer. She ends up at the carnival circus fair thing, science project fair. And she meets up with her best friend. Her best friend is making a time machine. Whoa. And the time machine, obviously, is how she gets back to 1987, because that's the whole part of the movie. So she gets attacked, and she hides in the time machine. She hits some time machine buttons, and then she starts time machining. She's travels all the way back to 1987, baby. Woo! And you get this really nice shot of like this 360 of her coming out of like the little booth. It's like this picture booth, and then she steps out, and you get this nice 360 like fisheye lens of where she lands. Like, this is 1987, and it's just like untraditional like movie making for it to do that, but I love it. I also love how every time there's time travel in a movie, there's like always a rendition by the VFX guy of like what it would look like, and it's always like this. I mean, it's always, it looks like time travel, but it's always different enough where it's like, that's pretty cool that somebody had to sit down and think what's a unique and original way but cool way to like show that she's time traveling. Jamie makes her way to the school, and we immediately get the movie's political correct and the humor like this is kind of scattered throughout the whole movie, and it's not too bad. I know a lot of people like to hate on like, oh, it's politically correct, oh, they're making fun of how racist we used to be, and I don't know. It didn't bother me. It's not like they were, beating a dead horse with it. They put in their few jokes, and I liked them, some of them. and it never got old. It wasn't like a bad type of humor, but that is the majority of the humor, is just like she's a fish out of water, right? That's the basis of the humor, and it works. It works pretty well. I think they write it pretty good. But she gets to the school. She signs up for school and meets Molly, the Mollies. She signs up for school and she meets the Mollies. And the Mollies are a group of girls that all dress after Molly Ringwald. I didn't know who she was, but they all dress up like different versions of Molly Ringwald, okay? They all look... And they're the mean girls. They're the jerks. They're the bullies. They're the ones that, like, everybody hates. So it's like, wow, gee, these people end up getting murdered. The one bullying the entire school. The 4 people bullying the entire school. These are the ones that get murdered. Wow. So there's a whole list of suspects. So they started off where it's like, oh, you don't know who's it going to be. She awkwardly introduces herself and gets nowhere, so she decides, okay, let's go to the cops. There's some cops outside the school. Not sure why it's 1987. Did they have like armored security in schools in 87? I don't know. But there's cops standing out there, and one of them's Randall Park, who's obviously funny, just like he's funny all the time. So the cops promptly tell her she's crazy. So she realizes she's not going to be able to convince anybody she's time traveling. Everybody's just going to think she's crazy. Well, what's the one person she can prove to that she's time traveling? That's right, Amelia's mom, who originally wrote time travel book thingy that they were like, that Amelia ended up using to create the time machine. And so she's like, Amelia, Lauren, you have a daughter named Amelia in the future. Forget about that I just said, called you Amelia. Lauren, you have this notebook that I know about, and I'm not supposed to know about it. That's because in the future, your daughter uses it to create a time machine, and now I'm here, and there's murders, and da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, okay, I believe you. Let's do this. How do we stop this killer? And so they're like, okay, well, the first murder happened at a party. Let's go to the party. So they go to the party, and we meet the rest of the group. So you have the four Mollies, and then you have the jock, the nerd, and the stuck-up, my dad's a sheriff girl.
So this is the next day. This is editor Brad speaking. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about, and I'm just going to put it right here in the middle. One, that dad in this movie, extremely wholesome. I love the father-daughter dynamic and relationship in this movie, even though it's hardly there because she's in the past like the whole movie, and so obviously he's in present time. Another thing, I love the facial expressions that Shipka does during the whole movie. Like her acting, like I wouldn't say it's like award-worthy acting, but it's like my favorite kind of acting, where the majority of it's in the face and it's just a bit over dramatic, just to kind of like, I don't know. I love that. Another thing I wanted to add. Cut this, Brad. Cut this.
After being denied promptly, they have to sneak in through the back, and this is where she meets her dad. This lovely dude that just this dude, normal looking dude, and she fails to convince anybody because she tries again. I don't know how many times she tries to convince people that she can see the future, that somebody's gonna die, without like trying to prove it, like having some sort of solid proof. She's just like, take my word for it, somebody's gonna die. And at this point she kind of has to, because there is no proof, right? She just has Lauren, another nerd that they don't like. You get two people that don't like telling you something that you can see the future. Nobody's gonna believe you, but whatever. She tries to convince them, and they completely ignore her. She gets kicked out. So she sneaks right back in. Wow, great security. She runs into Tiffany, the one who's gonna get murdered, one of the Mollies. And instead of like sticking with her, she's like, let me go find the other Mollies and try to convince them again, a third time. And like a minute or 2 minutes after the second try, she's like, "Hey, Tiffany's she's in trouble. You need to spend time with her. You need to like stick with her." And they're like, "Yeah, we're good." And so she's like, "All right, so now I gotta find Tiffany by myself and stick with Tiffany." It's like, you should have done that from the start. You talked to her. Well, she changed it. That's right. She goes on her phone to listen to the podcast from the future, which I assume she downloaded because there's no way she would be able to look up the internet. But it looked like it was on the web browser, so I'm not sure how this works. To find out that she was murdered in the garage. So she goes to the garage.
Wait, Tiffany's supposed to be in here.
Oops, she changed it.
I changed it.
She gets murdered on the waterbed instead because she changed it. So sad. Tiffany dies on the waterbed instead. And Jamie leaves a message for the people in the future because she knows they're going to take crime scene photos, and that one journalist, podcaster guy, tour guide guy is going to have the photos and be able to look at them and she'll be able to get a message to the future that way. Very smart. So she leaves a message on the dead body saying, "Stab the machine, Jay." As in Jamie, obviously. Apparently the creepy guy thinks that Jay, the creepy podcaster, thinks that Jay is an ancient rune and not actually a Jay, which is quite bizarre. Anyways, so she leaves them a message, and then they leave the party after the cops are like, "Who did this? Are you the bad guys? I think you're suspect. I think it might be you." And then Randall Park's just like, "Actually, you guys can all go. Never mind. Yeah, you guys just stay in town, I guess. I don't know. Stay and get murdered." So Jamie and Lauren talk to Pam again. First console her, and then tell her, "I can see the future because I'm psychic, because I can't tell you that I'm from the future."
And you.
Like, why not just tell her you're from the future? I feel like, but I mean, maybe psychic is like more believable. But then like she does that so she doesn't have to tell her that she's her mom. But then like you can just leave that out. Like you can just say, "I'm a time traveler. I'm not your daughter, by the way, just so you know. We're not related in any way." Like, I don't know. I feel like that's something she could have done. But she gives her a psychic rock that her mom gave her in the future that she was still holding on to. And she's like, "Yeah, this looks legit. I bet you could see the future. This rock looks like a legit psychic rock. You can see the future with it, dog." So Pam's just like, "I believe you now. Who's next?" Anyways, she's like, "It looks legit." So she tells the group, she's like, "We need to go." She tells the rest of the Mollies, Pam, Heather, and Marissa. I think it's Marissa. I feel like I'm getting that name wrong. She tells the rest of the Mollies, "Let's go to town. You know, nice public, well lit. You know, let's just stay out of like, I don't know, dark cabins in the middle of the woods." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's great. We can stay at my parents' condo." So they start driving, and Jamie falls asleep and wakes up, and they're at Heather's parents' condo, which is a cabin in the middle of the woods. And Jamie just wakes up, and she's like, No. How are you guys this dumb? How is this? No wonder horror movies are always like this, because people are really just this dumb. No, it's a good scene though. It's like, dang, it really shows you like, or it really like kind of satirizes or spoofs like the dumb decision making that some horror movie characters will make in movies. And it's just like, this is my parents' condo. It's this rustic cabin in the middle of the woods. Well, I shouldn't say rustic. It looked pretty nice, okay? I would have lived there too. I love it. But it's not a condo. It's a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And so they all get high and skinny dip in the hot tub. And the only thing we learn in the entire sequence is that 80s weed sucks. So I guess 80s weed sucks. I don't know. I wouldn't know. And then she gets locked out because she tricks them to go back in. She's like, "There's pizza inside, guys. I know you want pizza. You got the munchies. You guys are all high. I know you want to munch on some pizza." And so they all go inside and then they lock her out. Because that's, you know, it's like Halloween. So it's pretty cold out. And you're just going to lock her outside in the middle of the woods. And what surprise, surprise, the killer shows up. And kills the wrong one because she changed it again. Heather was supposed to die, but instead, or was it Marissa was supposed to die and then Heather or Marissa? Whatever. One of the Mollys die. You know, one of the annoying mean girls that you don't really care about, but you kind of care about. You mostly just care about Jamie and Pam and Lauren. You don't really care about anybody else for this movie. So now everybody believes her. Because, wow, she's been right not once but twice. Because that's what it takes to believe somebody when they're like, hey, somebody's going to get murdered. And then somebody gets murdered. And then you just like, yeah, I don't believe you. That was just a lucky guess. People get murdered all the time here. Even though they said earlier in the movie that nobody's ever been murdered here. When she first talks to the cops. The one time somebody's been murdered and she accurately predicts it. Everybody's just like, it's just luck. It just happens. But now 2 people have been murdered, and now she's like, all right,
So, as I told Pam,
now you all believe me.
I'm psychic.
This is my
Thought
plan.
Heather was gonna be killed tonight.
Lauren's been
Called
working
her
on
in
the
parking lot.
time machine thingy,
Since
I'm
she's
a Bob.
already dead, he's probably gonna
and she's
be
like, it needs more power. And also, I don't know how the Wi-Fi thing's supposed to work, because the time machine needs Wi-Fi to know your location. I feel like that's a flaw in the system. Where would you time travel to that has Wi-Fi? I mean, you could time travel into the future and maybe they don't have Wi-Fi. There'd be like Wi-Fi, that ancient technology we got rid of. I say anyways a lot. So Lauren's like, well, we can get the power from the, I don't know if you guys remember that, the spinny thing at the fair, at the circus, where you like pushes you up against the wall because it's spinning so fast. One of those like Gravitron things. Like those are pretty cool. I actually really like those. Anyways, so she realizes that's where she can get her power from. She can just plug it into there. And then the Wi-Fi thing, she hooked it up to some sort of satellite, and the Wi-Fi transmission like goes through time with the time machine, the satellite transmission, so that it connects her phone to Wi-Fi. I don't know. They don't explain that, okay? That's my explanation I'm coming up with. Is that like her Wi-Fi antenna receiver thingy is like asking for Wi-Fi through the time travel machine, and it's connecting to like a satellite maybe, and it's like traveling through time, and I don't know. I feel like that Wi-Fi service would suck though if you had to like get it through like a time machine, because then it has to travel through time and space just to get to your phone. I feel like that would be really slow. Anyways, she gets it all figured out, and they're like, okay, this is the plan. Okay, so her original plan is to say, okay, Marissa died in the haunted house, whatever. So we're gonna send you back there again, except this time we're gonna be hidden around the haunted house as like a corpse or like a psycho with an axe or whatever. And then as soon as we see him, we're gonna pop out and attack him. It's like 4v1. We got this. So that's what they do. They send her in, and she's just walking around like, I'm scared, but I'm all alone. I'm here to give somebody, adult time stuff. And the guy's like, haha, you're dead. And then her friends are like, haha, Uno reverse. What? And then a bunch of people get stabbed. A bunch of people get beaten up. And then he gets stabbed, like really bad stabbed. And you find out it's Doug.
We did it.
That's right.
We stopped him.
The principal from the future, the one that was bullied endlessly. Oh, turns out Fat Trish, which is a detail I totally left out of all of this. Fat Trish,
Kill us.
well, they kind of like explain it here too. Fat Trish was I'll just call her Trish. I feel mean calling her Fat Trish. She doesn't even exist, but I feel mean. They call her that. Trish they got her super drunk and like bullied her and like extorted like information out of her, and then
You did.
sent her on her way to go home, and on her way home she wrapped her car around a tree 'cause she was drunk, and they essentially killed her. And obviously Doug felt like they did kill her, because in a way they did, and wanted to get revenge. Well, it turns out Pam wasn't there. So why does Pam get murdered in the future? Because Pam and Trish had a fight and they weren't together that summer. So it's like, well, wait, you wrote a note, or there was a note that said, I'll kill you one day. So what the heck? Oh, surprise! The adult Doug is still alive. Except that's not adult Doug. Adult Doug doesn't exist anymore because time keeps flowing, they say in this movie. And it's like a river. And it's like you cause something to change. You just cause a divide in the river. And I don't know. Time travel movies don't ever really make perfect sense. Totally surprised me. And then they're like, but how did he get back? Amelia. I think Amelia's just sleeping here. I don't think she's dead. Which is kind of weird because he kills everybody else, but he won't kill Amelia to get the time machine. My cat just walked in there. Well, my roommate's cat. Hi, kitty. How you doing? Jamie's like, well, I gotta go to the future because my phone's about to die. But I gotta kill this guy because otherwise he's gonna kill you guys. So I'll just drag him back to the Gravitron spinny thingy. And then there's this like epic showdown with like her and Pam fighting off this, adult Sweet 16 killer. And there's this really cool shot, right? Because it starts spinning, and so like the gravity is obviously pulling him down, but the gravity is shifted where they can walk on the walls, and that's what he does. And then you get this really cool shot of this guy just like struggling, fighting against the spinning force that's keeping him on the wall as he goes towards Pam. It's this cool shot. I was like, dude, how is this not? So many horror movies take place at a fair or a circus or something like that, where scenes take place there, and not once were they like, let's put him in a Gravitron machine and have him walk on the walls. That looks cool. It looks cool. And so they fight. Pam gets out free after getting stabbed, but she gets out free. And then you find out that it's the creepy journalist, which you already knew as soon as you saw Amelia was knocked out. You're like, who's been hanging out with her? Oh, the creepy journalist guy. Turns out nobody cares about the Sweet 16 killer 35 years later, when there was only 3 killers and it was 35 years ago. So she's in heat. My roommate's cat is in heat. So she's pretty vocal. She ends up killing him. Obviously. She's like, don't F with my family. Boo, 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 nail gun. Which is foreshadowed. But anyways, he kills her. He turns into pink dust. Another throwback to callback to the line earlier in the movie. Not that it really matters that I'm saying this, because I probably didn't show you the clip. But turns out everything's fine. Turns out she has an older brother now. Turns out things have changed. But the only one there that knows that she time traveled is Lauren. And that's pretty much the movie. I mean, it's a good movie, though. I really did enjoy it. I really did like it. I think it's well acted from everybody. I really do. I think it was really well shot, too. Like, it wasn't, like, shot like a traditional, like, generic, like... So it's Back to the Future meets Happy Death Day / Halloween. And it's just... I don't know. It's just like it's its own thing, but it is very much akin to like Happy Death Day and Back to the Future. It does like steal a lot from those movies, but it does it well. And I don't think there was any part of this movie where I was like bored or like, wow, they could have trimmed this down. I mean, the movie's only an hour and a half. Very brisk movie, the briskiest, some might say. And I just thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Thoroughly loved every aspect of it. Like the way it pokes fun at the fact that it knows it's gonna have loopholes, and they have Randall Park just be like, yeah, I don't like time machine movies, they never make any sense. It's like, yeah, and you just immediately are like, oh, okay, so this movie's not going to make any sense. Just go along for the ride. Just be entertained, dang it. Just be entertained. Don't worry about anything. And that's what I did. I turned my brain off, and I enjoyed it. And you know what? It pulled a few punches I wasn't expecting, and it pulled everything together in a nice and neat package. And it was unique enough. Anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. And thanks for watching this long and excruciating video. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully you guys like this kind of content. Peace out. Thanks for watching.